Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Patrick Beverley has spoken out, kind of against what his position is on KD's trade request rescinding. I don't know the quite right way to say that, but not having that trade request on tab anymore is kind of making it so that guys feel a little uncomfortable. Pat Beverley's spoken out, basically saying, guys were passing up on jobs, waiting for you to do this, waiting for you to stand on what it is you're doing. You coming off of your square in regards to the situation. It's like, what do we do all this for? What do we wait for? Like, certain jobs weren't taken by certain guys because they were positioning themselves to be available to be on the team that you're going to go to, or missed out on certain positions because they're trying to go to the team that you're not going to, or whatever. It's affecting how guys maneuvered and all of that. But I think this just speaks to Patrick Beverley not necessarily knowing all there is to know behind the scenes just yet, because there's reasons for why a guy like KD would go back to Brooklyn and say, I'm willing to play, and they probably don't have anything to do with everybody being kumbaya and happy. That's what I was expressing in the last video. Is if you watch it, I'm sure you already know my position in regards to that. But I just think everybody's playing nice because they're pretty much forced to. And from a leverage standpoint, if you want to continue to be able to make moves, which everybody probably still secretly wants to do, then they have to be able to get back in a position of strength. And as long as these trade demands are in place, nobody can move. That's what we see here. So do I think KD still wants to move from Brooklyn? I don't have any evidence showing me that he wants to be removed from Brooklyn. But if I was to strategize a way out of Brooklyn, after learning what I just learned about the market, the best way to play it is to go back and pretend I want to play for Brooklyn. And then secretly behind the scenes tell them to still move me. Because that gives us the leverage to actually make the move. What he did was take the leverage off the table by making all these demands. If you're effectively trying to get moved, then you do what it takes to do that. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you want to express frustration and you're trying to make leverage plays, for which I think they were trying to do, then of course you're going to make demands to get that leverage, whatever it is you're trying to get leverage for. You're going to make demands to make that happen. That is what they were trying to accomplish. I think they've abandoned that play. I think for a week or two after abandoning that play, they had to figure out what the next move would be. So I think they went back to the drawing board, KD and his team, and they came up with a new plan. Right now, the information that they're giving us is that they're going back to the board with Brooklyn. Maybe that is exactly what they're doing, maybe not. But what I'm telling you is, if they want to move, they need leverage, and this gives it to them. If they want to move Ben Simmons, they need leverage. If they want to move KD, they need leverage. If they wanted to move Kyrie, they need leverage. LeBron James gave the Los Angeles Lakers leverage when he signed his extension. That was something the Nets were not planning on having happen. It snatched a lot of leverage from them, leverage they couldn't afford to lose. KD making this decision gives it back to him. And so it effectively does what it should do. It leaves a person like myself with no real understanding of what actually I'm looking at. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. Because if I'm going to believe what everybody's believing and I'm listening to what the media is telling me, I'm going to assume that they're going back to the drawing board with KD and they're going to start the season. They believe they can win a championship, the end. But if I'm looking at what is also in place, I say, as I told you guys a million times already today, Kyrie Irving is available to be a free agent at the end of the season. And if they don't plan on paying him, he walks for nothing at that price. That's not a good thing. Just like the Lakers having Russell Westbrook at that price isn't a good thing. To a lesser degree, them having Kyrie at that price is not a great thing. But you do believe that Kyrie can play up to that level, so it's not like you're hating life. But if they do not want to re-sign him, they can get a lot better if they were to trade him for multiple pieces, for which they may be able to do. So it's a lot of different things you could say, well, they have leverage for now that KD just took this trade demand off the table. So, yeah, they got all the leverage in the world now, because now KD doesn't want out. Apparently, they plan on going forward with Kyrie. And if anybody wants to make a move for any of these players, they're going to have to pay super top dollar for them. Now, the question is how does the field read this? Are they still actually putting in trade requests for Kevin Durant? Because if I'm a certain team that still wants him, I'm still calling. All this tells me is that the price tag has gone up, not that there's no trade available to make. Now, that's what it tells me in terms of what's certain. It doesn't necessarily give me all of my options, but it certainly lets me know that one's there. I can at least still kick the can on a KD trade and see if they'd be willing to take a higher price tag than they were willing to in the past for fear of this reemerging, for which I would have a healthy fear of this reemerging, to be honest with you. Why? Because KD doesn't want to be there. Look, I'm going to tell you guys what I honestly think. From what I understand, Patrick Beverley has somewhat stepped off of his statement in regards to KD. What would get him to that space if he were told that KD's not necessarily doing what it looks like he's doing, that this is just a temporary releasing of information that is meant for today's leverage and will continue to fluctuate just like every other information that's been funneled to the public for the last 3 months? Yeah, that's what someone would tell Patrick Beverley to make him say whatever he said to come off of that statement with KD. KD, in response to Patrick Beverley, tweeted #blame KD. In other words, there's more to know, friends. There's more to know. If he was super happy, he definitely wouldn't hashtag that. What's there to blame? He's going back home. Everything's fine. Why would there be any other reason but to blame him? In other words, he should be getting the blame. Logically speaking, there should be no response from KD if that's what's actually happening. But there was a response. So that tells me there's more to know. That tells me KD ain't all that damn happy just because he's going back there playing nice. And judging by how the media is talking, he really ain't happy. Because the way they're painting it is that he tucked his tail between his leg, that he's going to be subordinate, that he's going to win it. He believes he can win a championship with the Nets, even though they have the pieces that they have in place that may not be good enough. They're going to inflate these players like Warren, as they've been doing, telling you these guys are the greatest thing since sliced bread, when we know damn well TJ Warren ain't played since we seen the damn bubble. Since the bubble, he ain't been on the floor. But apparently he's like the greatest role player ever now. These are things, if they're selling us, that they want us to believe, that Kyrie and KD believe, that I know I have questions about whether or not they actually believe that role players of the Nets are good enough for them to win a championship now. That doesn't mean they can't make moves now to get better with those two in place because they have all this leverage. This is how you can get better from here. But what does that do for the Kyrie situation? What does that mean? Does that mean they're going to give him his 5 years? No contingencies? No shot needed? No vaccine needed if it comes to that? I haven't come to that conclusion. I ain't seen no tea leaves tell me Joe Tsai is fine with that. So until I see that tea leaf, I assume there's more to know. And look, you got to look at it like this. I'm not assuming I understand KD's personality. I have never met him. But just thinking about myself, I'm a prideful person. I just told everybody they need to do something. The Nets do. They need to do this and this to keep me happy. I told everybody I'm not moving. I told my brother I'm not moving. So now my brother's telling everybody we leaving the Nets. We ain't going to be here. My representation wants out. All of this. And then one random Tuesday morning, I come off of my square. I tell people I'm cool. I'm going back to Brooklyn. And the narrative is that I just went back there, tucked my tail between my legs, finally seen the fruit and just fallen in line. And Joe Tsai has whipped me into shape. And now I'm a good little boy, ready to play basketball, to honor everybody's desire for me to be subordinate and be a good boy. Emphasis on boy. But nevertheless, that is what he's agreeing to. He ain't agreeing to that. You want me to believe he's agreeing to that? That KD is agreeing to this? Come on, man. Stop playing with me. See, that's the problem with being able to think for yourself. You can't sell me that. I know better. Why? Because I've seen evidence of the individual myself to know that he would not be willingly doing that. No. Something would have to have backed him into that. What would that be? Everything I've been talking about for the last 2 months. You can't move without leverage. He destroyed his leverage. He didn't understand that. He learned that. And now we're back to square one, which is give them back the leverage so they can actually maneuver. That's what the tea leaves tell me, ladies and gentlemen, that KD could actually still want out. This effectively allows him an opportunity to do that. So, as I speak in circles, I tell you nothing can confirm that because the evidence also shows us that he's going back. Yes, it's genius. It's a genius. It does everything it's supposed to do leverage-wise. So, that's it, man. All this tells me is that somebody helped KD understand what chess move needs to be moved in order for him to effectively get what he actually wants. Because everything he was doing was giving the opposite result. That's all it was. It's literally all it was. You know, you have to understand the market. It's not as simple as get me out, I want to go. It's about how can we responsibly move such a massive piece, and how can we effectively make it so that the other team on the other side and the supporting teams who are going to be helping the trade all get quality in a market that is uncertain. With the presence of these trade demands, could nothing happen? Nothing could take place. We all saw it. Kept the market at a stalemate for a whole 2 months. This releases that pressure. This makes it so that everybody can move, including the Nets, including KD, including Kyrie, maybe even Ben. So what I'm telling you is, yes, could all of this be as it seems? Absolutely. But you know what it also is? Effectively the move that needs to be made in order for the Nets to have the leverage to do everything they want to do. It also does that too. That's the key to all of this. So, yeah, Patrick Beverley, that's what you needed to know, my friend. That's what you needed to know. The same thing that makes it so that KD goes back is the same thing that'll make it so that he can move, bro. You can now get your job because KD finally came around to understanding this. If he would have understood everything he needed to understand, you would have never had any of the troubles that you had. I think new information is required people to go back to the drawing board and maneuver differently. And so that's what we're seeing here. That's it. That's it. Because at the end of the day, I have to use my mind in looking at what I see there. And I have to say, did the Brooklyn Nets effectively sell that they are a championship team now? More so than they were 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? Because the team hasn't changed in months. So looking at what they have, KD's been assessing that the same way for the last month and a half. Nets ain't made a move no more than anyone else has. So what have the Nets done to make KD want to tuck his tail between his leg, go back and hear all this talk about how he's a good little boy and how he's going to be subordinate, and now Josiah has won the battle of KD and he stood on his square, and congratulations to Josiah because you didn't let that player control everything. You think KD want to hear all that? You honestly think KD want to hear all that? And then you hear Patrick Beverley and the responses that come from his peers. You think he signed up for that purposefully? Come on, man. No, I think for myself. I don't need nobody to tell me what's going on. I'm watching it myself. Hell no. No, he ain't gonna sign up for that. No man would probably gonna sign up for that. Not when he's been insubordinate. Not when he stands against that stuff in the first place. That was the point. He don't like that energy. So why the hell is he gonna agree to it now? If not because he needs to, has to, is forced to even. Duh. Hashtag blame KD. I'm being forced to do this, obviously. And I need to do this. Clearly, I don't want to do this. Why would I want to do this, Patrick Beverley? Why would I want to do this, American people? I didn't want to do this 2 weeks ago. Did anything change? Did they put Kyrie's money on his table? No. Did they loosen up and give me what I want? No. Did they fire Steve Nash? No. Did they fire Sean Marks? No. Nothing that I asked them to do since I've asked for this trade demand has been done. So why in the hell would I sign up for such a humbling narrative if not because I was satisfied with what it is that they're going to put on the table? There's no satisfaction. Where's the report of satisfaction? It was a report of a meeting. It was a report of an agreement. Where's the report of a satisfaction? None. Where's the report of Kyrie Irving having plans in the future of the Nets in that statement? None. They said they were going to be able to shoot for one championship. They're trying to build for one championship. And as I've been saying in these previous videos, ain't no way in hell KD is signing up for one championship. He wanted to go to Phoenix to play with Chris Paul. He wanted to go to the Miami to play with Butler and whoever else they were able to retain. He was willing to go to Boston and play with JT Money. Possibly go to Portland, play with Dame Lillard. Do you think he signed up for any of those situations to get one championship? Stop playing with me. He didn't go to Golden State to get one championship. He ain't staying with the Nets to get one championship. And he certainly ain't agreeing to know we're going to slowly but surely get to a point where we can get one championship and that's our goal. Are you crazy? That's Kevin Durant. Do you know who he's going up against legendary-wise? Do you know who he's trying to keep up with amongst his peers? He ain't shooting for no one championship in 4 years. Stop playing with me. So like I said, the evidence shows us a lot of things, including the duality of he could go back or he could be traded even more so now than ever before. Both of those things exist, but what does the tea leaves tell us? You know, the tea leaves tell us that Kyrie ain't got his money. Ain't nobody mentioned anything about him being in the future, and that's his boy. And the whole point of this was for him to get his money. And what kind of moves can they make to get better if they do trade Kyrie? What are they getting back? Anything that's going to be even close enough to make them a champion? Do you think so? I don't. No. Absolutely not. Whatever they're going to be forced to move Kyrie's contract for is not going to be enough to make them a championship team, in my opinion. Absolutely not. They're going to be getting back Russell Westbrook or the equivalent of 2 picks and something else. You think KD signed up for that? Stop playing with me. So that's the problem with being a free thinker, a thinker that can think for himself. No. No. Not when other teams that he could be wanting to go to have higher expectations for themselves. Absolutely not. He can go back to Golden State Warriors. They talk about winning championships every year. You know what I'm saying? I'm not signing up for Brooklyn to maybe one day hopefully build themselves a championship. Are you crazy? When the Lakers exist and we talking about winning our 18th championship, when the Celtics exist down the street and they just went to the finals last week, are you kidding me? You think he signed up for that? Come on, man. Think deeper. A player of that caliber does not want a chance to win a championship. He wants to be a part of a dynasty. Right now. That's it. So, needless to say, this could go either way. But if I'm thinking clearly and I'm looking at what's best for KD, if I don't believe they're going to put together a championship team, or if I don't believe they're going to give me Kyrie Irving for 5 years so we can ride this thing out, then there's no reason for me to actually still want to be here. Regardless of what the reports are today, to random day, for which the reports have been something different for random any other day in the past couple months. We've heard this person going that way, that person going this way, this for sure is happening, this for sure is happening that. We've heard so many different things. And now today's news is KD's coming back and he's super happy about it, even though he's actually not, because he's showing us that. Hooray, hooray, hooray. Josiah wins, Josiah wins. Does he? Or is that just part of it? That's meant to scare all of us that are trying to get Kyrie, that are trying to get in the net situation, that people were trying to trade for KD. We're supposed to all give up and walk away. But people like me exist, and we're going to give them something else to think about. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.